just be close to that perfect game with only 2 towers and 2 dragons away from a perfect game, I believe. And the gap is just too big. And I really love the series on how it managed to just become so unpredictable. Even AHQ most likely were looking into ending the game at game number 3, but unfortunately Talon's mental fortitude and as well as their adjustments coming into the draft really paid off. And with that, they seem really unfazed and they're looking really strong right now.
Yeah, and for me, I was kind of waiting for this matchup to really show, you know, between Civ and Hanabi in particular. Hanabi, he's been, you know, put onto, you know, tree champs, you know, orange champ, all that kind of jazz. And then finally getting his game plan out, especially being gutsy enough to go for the lethality build. It ended up paying off. So we're going to go ahead and get into Champion Select. HQ going to be on blue side, Talon on red side for our final game of the night. There's no more second guesses. There's no more second chances, as both teams only need one victory to claim the victory.
Remember, Talon does favor this red side. They really like this side when it comes to not only when for the draft, but it's also for the map in general. And they like to take control of the enemy's red side and just play around there and see what they can do. And because of that, no LeBlanc this time for Candy. No Elise for River. So, you know, the Olaf might appear here if Talon decides not to ban that this time around.
All right, so we'll see. The Olaf has been, again, always a bit of a priority ban when it comes to, I believe it's red side. It's been 4 games back-to-back. We'll see whether or not it draws another one. The Aphelios is going to be banned here, though, by the side of Talon. So not going to let that one go through like they did in Game 4. As well as the Callista, so I'm trying to hunker down toward Waco's champion pool. Now looking toward what AHQ's final ban is going to be, and it's going to be the Ornn.
Now for Talon, is it going to be the Set or the Senna? Because for AHQ, they do want to secure the Misfortune immediately on that first selection. Meanwhile, Talon, if the Olaf is let through, perhaps that would be the solution, or rather the selection for River on their first rotation of picks.
All right, so let's see here as AHQ with first pick. No Senna, so a lot of the marksmen being taken off the table. And what does that leave on open? We do see priority toward the Misfortune very often, and that, I think, is going to be the lock-in here coming out on the side of AHQ.
And for the first time ever in the series, Olaf is unleashed. And for that, HQ can opt to at least enter with either a Trundle pickup. For Talon, though, they're getting this Saya on.
We get ourselves the Xayah, which has been one of the niche picks coming out from Unified and goes in line with, you know, that team fight mayhem. Lock in the Rakan as well. We're going to have the Lovers Duo down in the bot lane. That does mean, though, it is going to be the Olaf available and possibly picked up here for Kongyu on AHQ.
This is the bot lane of their very first game against each other in the group stages, in the regular season rather. And the jungler that, you know, Talon used at the time was a Rek'Sai. It is still definitely open for Talon. It definitely beats... sort of matches well when it comes to this fight against AHQ. And now I wonder if that's going to be the same approach as HQ. What are you going to pick for this before the next banning phase?
So now, Olaf locked in for sure. Maybe going with the Nautilus, wants some heavy engage. But of course, it is a Xayah, so you're going to have to, again, bait out that Featherstorm if you want to actually be able to land the ultimate from this Nautilus, or maybe they just try and hard engage onto the Rakan. We'll have to see. It does get locked in, though, for AHQ.
Yeah, and for Talon, there you go. Either you select the Trundle to match out the Olaf. It has been the usual pick when you go against the Olaf and the PCS, and at least that is available now. That's going to be a different dynamic for Talon in towards this game, and that's going to be the third, actually 5th Kassadin ban when it comes to this series.
And this is one hell of a time for Talon to bring something new to the table, as River has yet to play Trundle this season when it comes to spring in the PCS. As you know, played anything else usually is always straight away from the Trundle, so a bit of a change up in the play style, especially now in Game 5. Bit risky. I like it, though. I like the guts here on Talon. Like you mentioned, though, Cassidy going to be banned out alongside the Zoe, so going toward Uniboy's mid lane pool. There is still like that Rumble available for him as well. AHQ going to go ahead and try and target toward Hanabi, it seems, as it is going to be the Gangplank, and I wouldn't be shocked too. Yeah, the Mordekaiser banned out.
Syndra is still open once more. The usual trio of mid laners that are usually banned out, the Zoe and as well as the LeBlanc. For Talon, what does Hanabi decide to play? As they will take away one of the prime picks in the mid lane right now, which is the Syndra. But that gives off a Pantheon pickup on the side of AHQ if they decide to want to give that to Uniboy or perhaps maybe the Galio once more.
So there we go. Syndra is going to get locked in. Now for AHQ, like you mentioned, could go with the Pantheon, but hey, you know what also has a bit of global presence? It's going to be the Galio possibly being the lock-in. I'm a bit hesitant. I think the communication between AHQ kind of showed in the last game that this Galio pick is very risky. We didn't really see a whole lot of heroes' entrances land onto any good targets, and the team was very much exposed in the later fights.
Yeah, it wasn't the best terms of engage, especially that Talon at that time were actually trying to bait out the hero entrance first before actually engaging fully. And with that, is this going to be, the Aatrox into, I wonder what, Hanabi's going to pick up as, Renekton is still open at this point. What else can, unless you want to play another AD carry at topside, which is gonna be a little bit risky considering there's not a lot of options for you in terms of frontline. But yeah, that seems to be the best choice.
All right, so gonna go with Renekton here for Hanabi, it seems, as that's gonna be the answer into the Aatrox of Civ. Unless we're getting something wacky with the Galio top. I doubt it though, and for AHQ and Talon, draft is locked in for our final game of the night. A bit of a change up here for Talon as we have yet to see them play this exact composition. This is the first time we are seeing River on a Trundle of all champions as well. Bringing out the pocket picks, it seems, here in the last draft.
Yeah, and it has been one of those things where I suppose they keep banning out this Olaf, so perhaps that's also the reason why they don't exactly see the Trundle as they do want to use that for their counter. Even actually River being using the Olaf quite well in towards the group stages of the PCS. And now, you're right, it is going to be quite refreshing, especially with the Lovers duo being acquired or locked in by Talon for the second time. This is quite reminiscent, again, of the very first game we've seen between these two.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of throwback when it comes to the composition and play styles. We're getting to see Konya on his Olaf, which has been disgusting before. We're also going to get Civ on an Aatrox, which is also a bit of a change-up when it comes to his play style. Usually always locked in onto the tanks or the heavy bruisers like the Set, even the Renekton. Now we get to see his Aatrox. Final game, of course, between AHQ and Talon. Victor here goes on to face Machi in the winner's bracket final for a slot possibly in our grand final. Loser will have to go down to the lower bracket and fight their way back up through the standings. It's do or die for both squads as we enter the Rift.
And with this, our first ever game number 5 in the series for the PCS playoffs. It's looking really wild. It's looking really, really solid. Especially, these two teams are quite unpredictable when they head on over to the Rift. So it's like a complete reset when it comes to the draft and as well as the playstyle.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
And in we go. Doesn't look like we're going to have anything crazy to start things off on our final game of the night. Again, HQ, game 1. Almost a perfect game over Talon, only dropping a single tower and dragon over to the squad. Not a single kill was picked up. Then did something rather similar in game 2, where they just knew their power spike and went for the fights. We're still scrappy against Talon. And then we had Talon find their footing, it seems, finally in these drafts. Candy was able to get some flanks off on the LeBlanc, shut down Konya when it came to the late game team fights. And if you were just with us, game 4, absolute bloodbath coming out from Talon, hyper aggressive. Now we kind of see them go back to how they first played in the first week of the PCS.
Yeah, and I feel like we'll go back to the usual. Nothing happens at around the 10-minute mark, and after that, that's the time where they would either trade objectives for Dragon and Rift Herald. And I see this very important for Talon, the Rift Herald, in this point of the game, considering that Hanabi is now in a faster. He will definitely reach his spikes faster on this Renekton, and you do want to allow that to snowball and possibly at the same time shut down Ziv on this Aatrox to sort of not give Candy and Unified a hard time when it comes to the team fights around objectives. And I'm looking forward to that first gank, but possibly, even though it says, okay, we're gonna perhaps attack early, perhaps maybe later on once they reach their level 6.
There we go. No real aggression. Kongyu was maybe pathing toward mid lane, but still just looking for a full jungle clear. Both junglers pretty much mirroring each other when it comes to their paths. I'm interested to see whether or not any pressure goes toward the top side, especially considering now that we're seeing a bit more of the draft style that we saw at the beginning of the split, rather than, the cheesy compositions we've seen in the series. It's been more standard. But I feel like for AHQ, and especially something that Talon were unable to deal with during the regular season, was actually a Galio composition paired with something like a Jarvan, like an Olaf, something that could just run in nonstop that you have no control over. Let's see here, though. River might be looking for a play. He's going to show himself. Scout of the Week is going to connect there. It throws in on the minion as well as the pillar. That will force Uniboy to absolutely have to flash away. He holds on, and first blood in Game 5 goes over to Candy.
And he holds on to that flash, most likely, as he will be able to at least be safe. But now this is going to be an early dive.
That's going to be 2 teleports. Kongyu coming over toward the side. It's going to be a 4v3 underneath the tower. Talon is just getting shredded. Candy goes down low, and he will fall. That's going to be another kill going in favor of AHQ as they strike back.
Clean dive from AHQ. They will definitely be happy about that. They didn't have to lose much on their side in terms of deaths, but when it comes to the summoners, I think that is a interesting trade. Kaiwing, though, still has his flash on, and Candy already done with his flash as well.
So we'll see here. Taking our look, it looks like Uniboy would rather save his flash for the ensuing play that we saw. So take a look down to how that one all started. It was just a hard push in and an instant level 2, level 3.
Yeah, good lockdown, and because Kaiwing Unified doesn't have that level 3, at least extra kit towards their side of this tower dive. So unfortunately, this is such a good and clean juggle from AHQ, and they get to reap their rewards on 2 kills.
There we go. AHQ able to strike back at this point and get themselves back onto the board when it comes to the kills, as well as the slight gold advantage going in their favor. Not the end of the world here for Talon, but it is a bit scary, as that could be a sign of what is yet to come for the remainder of this game. Possibly non-stop dives onto the Zion Rakan, especially in the early levels before she hits that level 6.
Exactly, and Uniboy is not even, level 6 just yet alongside with Candy. So imagine that teleport was utilized to get that pre-level 6 gank in, and for at least this composition for AHQ, now at least you have someone to rely on.
Well, meanwhile,
nicely
Candy
done.
Able to get away with the Scout of the Week there, as did not have a flash available. Will get himself to safety, as Kongyu not level 6, so he can't really interrupt any kind of CC that's being thrown at him. River, though, looking for a gank here toward bot lane. It is going to be a party, it seems, as the flash engage coming out from Kaiwing. Unified flashing on forward, able to get the blade caller down, and Waco's going to get taken out as Talon strike back in the bot lane. Kongyu, though, making his way down the jungle, maybe wanting to try and at least find this 2v3. Tisera, though, at half health, it's a bit risky. And that's going to force AHQ to have to back off. Uniboy, though, looking for a flank, is caught out on a ward, though, so Talon do know he's pathing down and will look to just disengage.
Ooh, that was quite tricky for the side of AHQ. At least they managed to, or rather for Talon, at least they managed to get the rewards there and eliminate 1 kill at least. And no exchange from the side of AHQ. And with that, it's still pretty much even in terms of the kills, but gold-wise, at least you have Talon getting that little lead.
I see River just pass in from the river, gets the pillar down, and a good engage coming out from Kaiwing.
Yeah, and the ultimate lockdown coming from Unified as well, from Blade Caller. Yeah, Wako has no escape, considering Flash and Heal already being used, and AHQ, though, will get this head start on the Dragon, which means they can definitely contest for Rift Herald later once Talon decides to take that as well.
Yeah, unfortunately no Rift Herald available on the map, so Talon can't even try and rotate their bot lane to top side, so a quick and easy take from AHQ means that they can easily contest that next Rift Herald, especially now that you have level 6 coming online for multiple members of AHQ. Civ will have his, Kanye has his, so he can go through, again, any of the CC lockdown. Uniboy can use, of course, his hero's entrance, and Waco should have his bullet time here on the next minion wave. Oh, no. We've seen this before. Talon forced to have to back off. Unified still does not have level 6, and like we mentioned, the early levels are going to be dire for the Xayah as she gets taken down.
Beautiful dive, and the question is, what does Talon decide to take away from this dive? As you can see, members of Talon already making moves towards the enemy jungle, and meanwhile, let's take a look at that really nice replay as AHQ, they can keep doing this, they can keep repeating this, and everyone is just squishy, and at that point, Kaiwing can't really do much with the onslaught that AHQ decides to keep pressuring in the bottom side of the map.
So with that, AHQ find themselves another successful dive in bot lane, pre-level 6 of the Xayah. It slows down Unified a little bit longer. Actually went back and picked up a call on top of his longsword, so not the most optimal buy for him. No level 6 yet, though, for this Misfortune. Still sitting on about 1/3 left of the bar until she gets to level 6, but still AHQ are confident enough that they want to go ahead and start up this Rift Herald, considering the bot lane of Talon have yet to leave.
Yep, and AHQ is rotating really, really well. I am absolutely enjoying this because the last 2 games that they had to fight, it was brutal, especially the previous game, and now they've managed to stabilize and pick up the pace and manage to reset. This is actually really, really good to watch.
A nice job there coming out from AHQ. Like we mentioned, game plan took the Dragon early so they could go ahead and go for this Rift Herald. Going to also show topside, and that forces Hanabi to have to back off on this Renekton. Has yet to be very aggressive in this lane, and looks like AHQ. No real contest coming out from Talon. It's a bit late. Rift Herald could go down at any point. River is nearby, though. Candy also making his way over. Gonna pop again the frozen ground, but not gonna actually go for any sort of play, as again they are a little bit outnumbered.
Yep, and with Uniboy even is gonna easily join the fight with the hero entrance later on. I feel like Talon is still not ready to take on these fights. Considering again, whenever I see a Renekton, the immediate answer that I'm looking for is sending more reinforcements for Hanabi to take off in this lane. We've seen actually Hanabi trade properly against Ziv, even getting this Executioners as his first purchase, so just trying to...
Yeah, getting Executioners to help cut through some of that healing on the side of AHQ, especially the Aatrox. Now Talon look to set themselves up toward possibly the Ocean Drake. It's still about 80 seconds. AHQ, though, looking a little blind here. Is River maybe looking for a play, able to get that quick knock up on the pillar, possibly looking for the Scatter of the Week, not going to find it. They are able to intercept the ult, but here we go. We got ourselves 3 teleports into the bot lane. Bullet time going to come on out, forces Skywin to actually have to back off Civ onto the back line, but there you go. Hanabi able to shred down the Olaf as well as the Nautilus. And now Civ going to be the next target. He's trying to kite on back. In comes the Galio, though, trying to trade back a kill. Not able to find it. It's a double kill now on the Renekton. And Talon, without any hesitation, are willing to take the fight. Uniboy channeling the taunt, but unfortunately can't get in range of Unified, and that is going to be the Misfortune trying to back off, but unfortunately gets interrupted. Unified going down low, River the same at 200 health. No one on Talon fall as they're able to pick up multiple members of AHQ.
Ooh, Uniboy probably wants a max Q. There's going to be a flash in exchange, and at that point, It was pretty close. 20 seconds on the clock, though, for the next dragon to spawn. Talon will look to get that reset. Let's take a look at this again with the pillar starting the fight. Unfortunately, that Scatter of the Week did not hit the stun. But, you know, Kaiwing is there to reinitiate the fight anyways. Bullet Time only managed to hit Kaiwing, as Unified is safe throughout the whole fight.
And yeah, Hanabi with his teleport onto the backside really cut off the only escape there for the Olaf, and Nautilus was able to find himself a double kill as well, taking down Civ underneath the tower. And Uniboy's ultimate still a little bit late to the party. Candy is able to at least save the bot lane tower, but that does mean now that Talon find themselves 1,000 gold ahead of AHQ, and they're going to go ahead and start on the second dragon of the game.
And it's going to be a 1-for-1 right now when it comes to the dragon, and Talon will be happy to take that, and as well as the 2 kills that Hanabi managed to acquire. It's actually, I've been looking for this, I've been waiting for this, and that's the thing that I am afraid for AHQ. We've seen countless of times when a Renekton managed to either snowball and make a huge impact when it comes to the fights. And again, considering you have Wacko right now is not going to deal a huge amount of damage, still hasn't completed 1 item just yet, and versus this Renekton who can easily burst down Wacko if the healers are not there to help Wacko in the fights.
So there we go. There's going to be Talon at least going back onto the base. Ooh, a nice little hook though. He's going to land, and that forces Kaiwing to have to use his grand entrance to the side, and is able to get back to the Xayah as Unified sticked around for a little bit longer, so able to get back to safety. River, though, looking for possibly a play in mid lane. Uniboy is a tanky Galio, though. Unfortunately, it's rather hard to go for a dive, but if you have multiple members of Talon coming in for the reinforcement, that will do it. A beautiful intercept coming out from Kaiwing. Scatter of the Week combos there, and Candy picks up the kill.
Nicely done by Talon, just as you mentioned. If 3 members doesn't work, 2 members doesn't work, might as well bring the whole party in the mid lane. And because of that, Uniboy is not able to escape. No Proto Belt just yet, and without a flash, it's kind of hard to escape that onslaught from Talon.
Can we just say, over the course of this weekend, Kaiwing has had an insane Rakan, always knowing where to position himself when people are trying to escape, catches out Uniboy on the Justice Punch.
It is pretty wild. And at this point, it's just one of those things where, okay, AHQ has managed to dive twice at bot side, but it didn't face Talon at all. And it's just so beautiful to watch. And now they have to worry about Hanabi, who's 2-0-1 right now on this Renekton.
So yeah, the Renekton still getting a bit scary. Still has a bunch of components, though. Doesn't have a fully completed Black Cleaver. Got that Executioners very early on to help him in the matchup against the Aatrox. Does have the finished Ninja Tabbies. It looks like on this back he should finish off, I'm going to believe, the Black Cleaver for himself. So there you go. First item online for Hanabi. You're also going to have the Lune's Echo as well for the Syndra. And the only bad thing, I guess, here is for Unified, because he had such a rough early start of the game, he's down 40 CS, but at least he's still being helpful with some of these roams.
I think that is a pretty sweet deal, if you ask me, considering I suppose the exchange is, okay, Unified may not be online as expected, as soon as expected, but at least you have someone to fall to rely onto, which has always been that Renekton for that buffer from mid to late, which has been very impactful when it came to the PCS in general. And as well as Candy for the necessary CC for that follow-up after that pillar, after that knock-up from Kaiwing, and now they're starting Rift Herald.
So Rift Herald take being started here by Talon. 4 members, make it 5, as the Xayah is going to come down from top side. Priority in top lane means that tower is going to go down here in just a short sec. Kongya at least trying to get the Rift Herald to show its back. That's what you're looking for, but River already pushing it back. 50-50 on the smite. Who's going to get it? Goes on over to River. Bullet time comes out, though, immediately, but they are unable to find the right target. In comes Uniboy, though, finds himself a double knockup, but unfortunately, on the side of AHQ, it might not be enough. A beautiful Scatter of the Week coming out from Candy, able to knock down 3 members of AHQ. That is going to be a 2-for-1 in favor still of Talon, on top of getting the Rift Herald.
Yeah, lots of rewards for Talon in that engage, and beautiful smite as well from River. They had to wait out a little bit to see who makes the first move, but in the end, it was River that got the smite. And in the meantime, Ziv almost close to his death there, but at least they take a tower down.
We'll take a look another again at this fight. The bullet time comes through, does a decent amount of damage, but it's still a while before that misfortune really comes online.
And that's what we were talking about earlier. And because this team is such a... Oh, that is a lot of Dark Spears into a beautiful Scatter the Weak. Stunned a lot. So after that Unleashed Power, it's just beautiful placements of the Dark Spears in the field. But yeah, the team fight of AHQ, rather, is such a all-in, no way out kind of composition, considering that's, you know, Kongye, Uniboy as well, and as well as Ziv. So at that point for Talon, they have a lot of damage at the moment in comparison to what we just witnessed with the bullet time not dealing as much as expected at this point. But Executioner's Calling also being picked up, most likely a counter as well against Han.
See here now, that is going to be Mountain Drake started. It is a very dark river coming out, as that's going to be the engage immediately onto Sarah. Bullet time is there, but still does not have enough damage. Uniboy into the back line, trying to get himself a massive taunt. Isn't able to find multiple members. Civ also on the flank, gonna get stunned up immediately and taken down. Hanabi on the front line, able to survive a little bit longer. Now comes in another engage as Sarah is going to be taken down. The Blade Caller finds its mark, and Kongya is stuck in between a pillar and a hard place. That allows Talon to find 2 more members of AHQ. Dragon still available.
And I thought they were going to still go in. Looks like they just want to chunk down this tower a little bit more, as they're going to juggle 2 objectives, trying to siege towards mid and as well as take in this dragon. Let's take a look at this again, as again, you mentioned it was a dark map. Isera wanted to at least lay down division, but was just too close for the Scatter of the Weak. And stopwatches, as well as the Feather Storm. Ziv tried his best to flank, but they immediately shifted targets towards Ziv and bursted him down.
And that's the unfortunate thing when it comes to this composition. You're relying heavily on this Misfortune to be able to do so much damage, but she only has 1 crit item at this point. You're still waiting on that Infinity Edge to come online, and then you can go for these fights. You can go for those 5-man bullet times for the side of Wako. Unfortunately, it's just no damage, and like you just saw, if he's not able to burst down one of these members, Candy, Unify, Kaiwing, they come in hard and fast to try and take him out.
And imagine Hanabi was enough, as well as River, to just zone away the targets of AHQ, and that's the reason why Talon can just burst someone down and move to and cycle towards the next target in range. And for AHQ, I'll be a little bit worried, as that's Candy 413 right now. Unified has sort of managed to pick up the pieces, considering, again, he had not the best of times in the laning phase due to AHQ's constant pressure. But what has gotten off from that is definitely Kongya's 3-1-0 score, but at the same time, it really didn't translate to the rest of the lanes.
Yeah. And unfortunately here, like, you still have some good spikes starting to come online for Talon. You have the Ludens complete here for Candy. He's also got the Sork Boots as well. He's got a little bit of penetration. And already River technically on his 2nd item complete, as he rushed a Knight's Vow just to give a little bit extra safety to other members of his squad. Hanabi trying to apply as much pressure he can toward the bot side of the map.
And Talon, very brave to just nonchalantly walk near Rizera, and as well as 3 members, as Talon.
River, able to get himself a quick knock-up, but that's all that's going to happen is Talon are fishing. See the gold graph. Candy currently sitting at 6,100. Kongya is just going to throw an axe in from the side. River on the hunt, though. Decides not to pop his ultimate nor his pillar, as Uniboy looking for a possible flank as well. So they do have decent vision of where Talon is on the map. Talon not too sure exactly where this Galio might be.
Yeah, and they've managed to lay down the vision as well after seeing someone pop the vision blossom there, as a Talon will decide to concede pushing that mid and make that reset, possibly even securing more vision, as you saw how Uniboy is looking for a flank. There's still that control ward by that Raptor camp.
Candy's just going to go ahead and clear out. Like you mentioned, yeah, there is a teleport available possibly for Civ. And Civ, we mentioned it at the beginning of the night, his week 1, week 2 of the PCS, he was kind of the flank king when it came to his engages, usually from the teleports on either a set This time, though, on an Aatrox, so equally can be annoying if he's able to get onto the back line of Talon, get on top of Unified, force out the Featherstorm. That's the biggest thing here for AHQ, is whether or not they can bait out the Featherstorm early during a fight. Because if Unified still has that, he has a lot of safety, he has a barrier, he has a heal for Kaiwing as well. There is so much tools to keep this Xayah alive during these messy team fights.
And I think that is the scary part once the game progresses, because again, eventually, you know, Olaf and as well as Galio will fall off, and it will be just solely reliant on Wako and as well as Ziv to make impacts when it comes to the team fights and the back line.
Well, that's a decent crit there coming out as they do get some decent damage onto Unified. Teleport is going to come down here as now Uniboy looking for a flank. They catch out Candy into the knockup, and there you go. Wombo combo is secured, and they get the shutdown onto the Syndra. Re-engage comes out, though, from Kaiwing. In comes the Galio, though, onto the back line. Not able to find multiple members. Unified is still fine here on the backside of the fight. Able to find another kill, and AHQ have to start running. Re-engage from Kaiwing. Able to find the knockup into the stun, and it's a double kill for the Xayah.
Unified, even though he was a bit damaged from that fight, after the first half now, Unified was untouched, and therefore a lot of free autos on several members of HQ. Yes, they managed to eliminate Candy, but there is still the Xayah that is still a huge threat.
And it's a good flank that comes out from AHQ. I'm going to give them credit. They were able to get on top of Candy, but you see, Talon aren't all that afraid of Uniboy, and as long as Unified is safe on the back line, there's nothing AHQ can do.
Yeah, and they had to run for the hills now, and Wako didn't even have Nana at the time as well, so it's all relying on that auto, so there's not a lot of utilizing every single thing on your kit. And Unified, with that IE completed as well, I think for Talon, they are ready for the engages that AHQ could potentially pull once more. And right now, that is an Earthdrake already spawning.
So Mountain Drake coming up and has spawned onto the map once again. Talon can look for the third dragon of the game. It's going to be started up here by Candy. AHQ, with not a whole lot of vision available to them, have to kind of let this one go, or else they risk giving up more kills and gold over to Talon. We now sit 4,000 gold ahead, 5-13. Just get ourselves set in for 24 minutes.
Yep, Ludens and as well as Morellos already available for the side of Candy. So right now, if the Syndra has been very scary already from before the first 15 minutes of the game, then for sure right now a lot of the members of HQ, especially most of them, are quite squishy and vulnerable towards burst damage from Candy, especially now. Meanwhile, I think that might be a Rabadon's on the side of Uniboy, so opting for more burst damage, relying on Galio's quite explosive damage, if you will, when it comes to for sure when the fight happens.
Yeah, if he's able to get on like a Winds of War, that can do a decent chunk of damage off his Q. For me, Civ has finished off his Death Dance, though, which is going to give him a little bit more survivability, gives him a little bit of a bleed to work with on that Aatrox, so he can stay in the fight a little bit longer. Does still have to deal with the Executioner coming out from Hanabi, but now you have the IE Essence Reaver on both AD carries, and the question becomes, who's going to be more impactful? Is the Bullet Time going to do more damage, or is Unified's Blade Caller going to do more? As that's going to be the tower taken here by Talon and mid.
There's still no dragon, and it has been taken already, but for Talon, are they going to do the Talon special of lingering around enemy jungler, the enemy jungle and wait for a pick? That could be the play here, as there's a ton of vision being laid down by Talon on the blue side, especially they want to take control of the Baron. And right now for HQ, not a lot of flanking vision available for them, as Uniboy and Ziv have yet to get their teleports on. But actually there is, I stand corrected, as there is one nearby the Raptor and as well surrounding wards at the Baron pit.
The thing that HQ have to be really concerned about here, though, is if you take a look at Kongyu's build, went Black Cleaver, went Warrior, only now starting to get his Spectre's Cowl. So, as far as frontline tanks for AHQ, if Kongyu pops his ultimate, he's actually going to lose more resistances. And then if he gets ulted by a Trundle, this Olaf is going to literally melt as he tries to jump into the fight. It doesn't matter if he doesn't care about CC. can't avoid the best CC, which is death.
Yeah, and he's gonna be very, very squishy, and I feel like that is always the answer when it comes to, again, we saw the Olaf getting picked up, and that's the reason why they got the Talon. I mean, they got the Talon, they got the Trundle. That's Baron getting started.
Yeah, this is Talon pretty much saying, you have to come and fight us, or else we will continue to take objectives, and without really a frontline tank, there's no one that can really go in there and just try and, you know, face check. They have to use their blue trinkets, which, again, Wako does have available to him, so they'll be able to at least snuff out a possible Baron attempt for now. But you still see Talon feel like they have a lot of control, a lot of vision on the top side of the map.
Yeah, they definitely want to bait out something from AHQ, and now that we mentioned about Unified was left untouched, now he has a QSS in his inventory, so it's even harder to sort of cut him down or catch him in these team fights, and he has full summoner spells as well, and the same goes for everybody actually.
So now 90 seconds here for Mountain Drake, but it seems like Talon, they have eyes set toward the Baron, and AHQ have to play this guessing game, have to play this back and forth poke game where Talon are slowly just gaining more control of the map. Hanabi actually has the teleport back up and available, so he can just go into the side lane and pressure in. Civ is still mid lane trying to answer this, even though they have 2 teleports available on the side of AHQ. Luckily for them, Talon decide they'd rather go back to base and finish off some of their items.
Yeah, and right now, again, there's no answer for Hanabi at the moment. He's 2-1-6 right now, even has his own Death Dance, and that is 2 stopwatches on the side of Talon, so that's gonna make it even harder to try and burst people down when they want to, and with that said, it's gonna be difficult.
And then on top of that, we talked about safety for Unified, has finished off his QSS, so now has a built-in cleanse with the rest of his items, on top of that barrier, on top of that flash, on top of that heal, on top of the Featherstorm, and you can even add for good measure the Guardian from the Rakan. So it is going to be very difficult to kill Unified during these fights.
Yep, and with that, it's just the victory, or the window of victory for HQ to try and demolish the carries of Talon is slowly dwindling. And we did mention, they eventually fall off. There's a teleport.
Gonna come in. That is gonna be Candy coming in at the speed of light, it seems. Gets a nice scatter of the week. Is gonna get hooked though by Ysera, but in comes the engage. Bullet time's used, but it's on a golden Candy. He doesn't care. And Unified's gonna go onto a rampage. Another scatter of the week is gonna land. It's gonna force Ysera to have to flash out to safety. His hook is not gonna be able to land on any terrain as he gets taken down. And Talon find themselves 2 members of AHQ. One of them not being the jungler. That does allow Talon to go ahead and focus their efforts toward the Dragon.
And that's going to be 4th Dragon for Talon as well. Dragon Soul, as HQ is still trying to buy some time at least and delay, but with 5 members complete, it is going to be a huge challenge to make an impact and stop them from taking this one.
No Miracle Steal, it looks like today, as they were even baiting out whether or not Civ was going to try and go for it. So that is now going to be Mountain Soul for the side of Talon. You have the extra shielding. I just mentioned all the things keeping Unified safe in these fights. Now he just has a natural buff when he's always going to have a shield.
Yeah, that Dragon Soul, that Mountain Dragon Soul is going to be very important, and safety keeps piling on for Unified, and it has been one of those things where he suffered early only to just sort of enjoy his late game, and with that, HQ cornered right now, not having the answer that they're looking for, considering that this composition was supposed to snowball, was supposed to work early with this Olaf and as well as this Gallo, and now your options are limited.
Unfortunately, the checklist has not gone in their favor as far as the game plan goes. It's now a 6,000 gold lead. Elder Dragon in 5, and that's where Talon are going to be always able to force action out of AHQ. They could even go for this Baron, but honestly, it seems like they'll just wait now for that 35-minute mark when Elder Dragon's going to spawn, and that's going to force the hand of AHQ where they have to decide we're either going to take this fight or lose, or we're not going to take this fight and likely lose.
Yeah, and considering Talon has a lot of vision laid out in both rivers, and for AHQ, it can't really exactly try to make moves and try to take a pick, because this is the point of the game where Talon is just together all the time. And since they have no answer against Hanabi, Hanabi can take advantage of split pushing since earlier. Now, River sticking close to danger a little bit, but you know what? Talon, everyone's practically there near his side.
Yeah, even look, Unified also has, of course, he's got precision in his runes, so he has the extra little bit of overheal shield too. He's currently got about a 500 life health shield, and once he finishes off the Bloodthirster, it's going to be around 800. Hanabi also now has GA, so he can look to try and dive in onto the back line, and this is Talon pretty much making the call. We're going to take Baron. What are you going to do, AHQ? Do you want to try and run in? Are you going to try and take this fight? In comes the Galio, finds a double knockup, but you see, these guys are so damn tanky at this point with the shielding that they don't even take a scratch here as they continue on the engage. Bullet time is going to be there, but Kaiwing with a beautiful interrupt on the Rakan is able to catch out the Misfortune, and unfortunately, AHQ, they're on the wrong side of the map. Featherstorm is popped, not going to find his target. Blade Caller is still there, getting some damage. Civ trying to make a hero play in a 1v3 back in mid lane, but it's just Wacko and Kongyu trying to hide in safety, maybe turn it around. Unified goes low, they get the shutdown, Kaiwing gets taken out, and the Misfortune is able to find a double kill.
What just happened? Talon split into two, got a little bit overconfident, still not over. Kendi, this is a hunting squad.
And there you go, the shutdown is there. And even though the Misfortune was able to find 2 kills, Talon still clean up the bodies in the jungle. It's going to be a 4 for 2 in the very end. Maybe a little bit too aggressive coming out from AHQ. Let's take another look at how this started.
Yep, and it's, again, scouting by Ysera, wanting to get at least vision on that Baron, but again, Talon is far ahead, and AHQ is separated in the fight, and the bullet time, because of the shields piling on towards Talon with the Dragon Soul, it didn't actually scratch Talon at all into the fight, and this is the interesting part. They separated into 2 squads, where Kaiwing and Unified says, okay, we got this covered. Wacko hugging the walls, and Unified caught off guard.
The crits, though, that come out from this Misfortune can be deadly, though. That's a decent shutdown, actually, going on over to AHQ. Whether or not, though, that decides the outcome of this game is going to be another question, as once again, Talon start up the Baron.
There's teleport for coming from Kendi. This is going to be round number 2 for AHQ.
AHQ, can they try and stop this? We'll see. Baron down to 8,000 health. AHQ starting to position themselves aggressively, able to find a quick knock-up. Kaiwing also going to get the depth charge used immediately on top of him. Kaiwing goes for the engage, gets the knock-up onto Ysera. Ysera going down low. Unfortunately, the Nautilus has to Spider-Man to safety. Hanabi already popped his ultimate, and there's the frozen ground as River still hunting. Luckily, this Nautilus has got a pretty much a lot of good amount of mobility built into the queue. Do they find the knock-up finally? No, he buffers once again, and that's a lot being used here. Here comes the redemption, though. Looking for the kill. The shield is there, and Ysera will live another day.
You can tell how Talon was so frustrated, just wanting to chase Ysera, and at that point, at least they got 1 member down, they have to go back, and meanwhile the response for HQ is, okay, let's probably just push mid.
There we go. Kaiwing is actually zoned off here. Nautilus is running back from base. AHQ are going to try and interrupt this. Ultimate is back up, though, for the Rakan, so that's your main engage coming out from the side of Talon if they want to try and go for a thing. It's going to be popped immediately. Civ over toward the backside. Kongyu gets charmed immediately, and that is the Ragnarok popped, and Uniboy gets taken down. Talon, again, return back to the Baron, and it will go in their favor. Bullet time comes out, but it's a last-ditch effort that doesn't work out. Scatter the weak into the Unleashed Power, find its target. The shutdown goes over to Civ, but still Talon on the hunt with 4 members alive. AHQ scattered to the winds at Civ and Kongyu have to split up.
And looks like the plan is for Talon, you know what, we have time to either just push mid, and then as Elder Drake is about to spawn, it's going to be perfect timing, because HQ, there's still 14 seconds on the clock, pretty low death timers if you ask me. Not enough to finish the game, but you know what? Talon is going to be primed and ready to take this Elder Drake.
Yeah, death timers might be short, but still, the timer for Elder Drake has already popped, and now it is going to be started by Talon. Civ would need a Miracle Steel, Kongyu would need a Miracle Axe, but it doesn't even look like they are going to attempt this, as it appears that AHQ have to concede both objectives. And this means Talon now power in hand, hammer ready to put the nail in the coffin here as they look to complete the reverse sweep.
And it all started with the attempt from AHQ to try to deny that Baron, and again, Talon very far ahead. Ragnarok popped over there with a bunch of hooks as Hanabi is doing his best, trying to distract the backline. It's just right in time. Talon joins the fight, and with that, HQ just decides to run for the hills.
And you saw it was a last-ditch effort coming out from that bullet time, trying to get at least something on that Baron fight for the Misfortune, but now things get very dire. You have completed the GA for Unified. He's now going to start working toward his Bloodthirster, and this Xayah is just super buffed up at this point. You cannot kill her. It's going to be near impossible for AHQ to do that. River might find himself alone, Aatrox, if he's hungry enough. Elder Dragon buff as they siege in onto the base. Bullet time is going to come down to at least try and interrupt some of the minions, but they are buffed up still by the Baron. Turret in top lane is going to get taken here by Hanabi. It's a two-front assault as Talon now crack open the inhibitor tower.
And take note, Zhonya's and as well as QSS was not at all baited out earlier into the fight, so these things are still available for Talon if HQ decides to pull the trigger. Meanwhile, this is going to be the last stand for AHQ if they want to at least buy some more time for themselves.
For AHQ, they were so close to taking this series up 2 games, but were unable to finish it on game 3 and 4. And Talon defy the odds, continue to push forth into the base. Galio Ultimate going to come on down to try and interrupt, but they've already separated. And look how much is being used. Hanabi is bringing 4 members of AHQ away from their Nexus. Wako tries to use his ultimate. He gets shut down, and Talon complete the reverse sweep.
What a wild series we have for tonight, and with that they must feel really good, defying the odds just as you mentioned, after such a really disgusting game number 1 where they had a total loss. They managed to pick themselves up at game number 3 and made a complete reverse, and I am just absolutely happy for Talon.
Yeah, for Talon, you gotta be pretty happy now that you were somehow able to pull off this reverse sweep, which was A, disgusting, 2, to do it after almost getting perfect game in game 1. The fact that I thought their mentality would have went boom, but then they were able to stay strong and true and honestly defy a lot of odds here. I know a lot of us, token that AHQ looked like the stronger team heading into playoffs after the second round robin, but came in and proved everyone wrong.
And the thing was, yeah, it looked really, really dire at the first 2 games for Talon, considering, again, HQ on paper, they look really, really strong. But looking back at, what happened at the regular season, it was Talon that managed to 2-0 HQ, and it seems to me HQ is still having a difficult time going up against Talon, especially when they get ahead.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look toward one of our final Baron fights. Of course, this was pretty much the sealed deal, it seems here, is unfortunately HQ could do nothing at this point.
Yeah, they've already lost 1 member. They've lost Uniboy already, so this is like a 4v5. And Wako did a try to hero play that bullet time, but unfortunately we did mention the shields kept piling on. And at that point, I also want to talk about the way that the inventory slots were used. Unfortunately, there were so many times where Wako had to get stunned by the Scatter the Weak, but there was no QSS as he was reserving his slot for that Executioner. So at that time, they were really relying on Wako to hold on to that and just try to mitigate that heal from the side of Talon, and as well as on the side of Zivas. I believe he also had Executioners, but you know what? There's not a lot of safety for Wako in the entirety of the fight. Yeah,
unfortunately, there's not a whole lot you can really do at this point, and with that, it's going to be Talon able to complete the reverse sweep over AHQ. It looks dire after that game 2, able to hold on though in game 3, put down their foot in game 4, and then seal the deal here in game 5.
I think what's interesting in this series as well is the evolution of the playstyles, and where Uniboy has been very scary when it comes to the assassin mages perhaps, but it seemed to shift a little bit when he was placed either on the Galio. So a lot of pressure actually has been placed on Wacko at the bottom side of the map since Uniboy had to go utility. It worked at the first few games, especially on the Lissandra, but Talon seems to have figured it out already.
Yeah, so with that, Talon are going to advance to our next round of the playoffs, and they'll be pretty happy. AHQ, they can still fight their way back up, and Kaiwing gonna get our MVP for our final day, or for our final game at the end of the day. Like I've said, a huge highlight anytime he's playing the Recon. It's absolutely disgusting, considering we saw so many interrupts come out of him.
Yeah, such a well-deserved MVP for Kaiwing. At this point, I seriously don't know what else he absolutely cannot play, as again he has managed to protect his carry and as well as set up a lot of fights for the side of Talon. And again, he can adjust whether or not he's on guard duty or engage duty.
Yeah, so with that, the Recon may draw some bans when it comes into, of course, our next couple of series. Who knows? But that does mean Talon now get to go up against Machi Esports for their opportunity of locking in a position into our grand final for spring. AHQ will go down the bracket, and I do believe they will face the winner between one of the 4 teams still down in the lower bracket. We still got plenty of games to play out on the lower bracket, so we won't be seeing them for a little bit here. They get about a week's rest, and same goes there for Talon as well.
Yeah, at least, Machi watching this match tonight is going to be such a wild ride for sure, especially Talon. In terms of their mental fortitude, they show that they can and are able to do reverse sweeps and seemed unfazed despite having such a brutal defeat at game number 1. So with that, I feel like, Talon is such a strong team.
Yeah, and we wanted to see what this team had pretty much in their basket when it came to a best of 5 series or a best of 3 series. We got to see a little bit of it in the Nova series. Arguably, that wasn't necessarily a strong test for them, especially now going up against AHQ. And now if I'm Machi, if I look at how Talon was able to recoup after losing the first 2 games, I'm kind of going, ooh, these guys might be a little bit scary to go up against now.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be our kryptonite by any chance, because they really evolved throughout the series. They were unpredictable. Sometimes they wouldn't do anything for after 10 minutes, and then suddenly would make rounds around the map or around level 3. So at that point, it's hard to read and will definitely prove a challenge for Machi in the next upcoming weeks.
There we go. So from watching them, they'll be able to at least get themselves prepped and ready. Question of also still becomes for them is, what do they have in store when it comes now to a possible best of 5 where there's still so many questions up in the air, especially from some of our stronger teams like Machi, where we only got to see a best of 3 from them against Berjaya, which they heavy-handedly defeated Berjaya under 90 minutes in game time in 3 games. A little bit disgusting to say the very least. And then we also still have to see all these teams down in the lower bracket, because now if you're on the the side of Hong Kong Attitude, J Team, Nova, Berjaya, they all have to go, oh, so if we win these next 2 matches, we have to go against AHQ, which is like, you're pretty much going, come on now.
Insane. Yeah, it's definitely going to be insane considering, again, these are the bottom teams that made it to the playoffs. And with that, at least when I look at Nova, they can say, oh, hey, we've defeated HQ at least once in the regular split. So that's something to look forward to. And again, yeah, we will get to see longer games for sure and more exposure to these teams that we haven't really seen as much. So I'm pretty happy coming into next week with the lower brackets.
Well, as you guys can see, that was our only best of 5, of course, for the day. If we had another one, I don't know if I'd be able to keep up, as it's going to be a 3-2 victory going over to Talon, and we can take a look toward our playoff bracket, where Machi and Talon will face off next Saturday. Winner will advance to our grand finals in the first weekend of May. Loser will drop down into the bracket below, and that will put them at L6, where they'll have an opportunity to fight their way back up. Meanwhile, AHQ, they'll face the winner of J Team and Alpha, and then Hong Kong Attitude and Nova will face the victor toward Brajaya Dragons. So, if you guys want to know more about the action of the PCS, you can always go ahead and follow the pages you're watching on now, or on the Facebook, or even on the website, lopacific.com, where you guys will get all the info regarding scheduling and brackets. And our next matchup coming next Friday, it's going to be J-Team taking on Alpha in a best of 3, and then Hong Kong Attitude taking on Nova Esports.
That's going to be spicy for sure. Again, these 4 teams right here are loving the early game fights, and as well as the interesting drafts, as they like to play out most of the times the unorthodox or the unusual when it comes to the PCS. And that's the reason why Friday is also going to be spicy. If Talon and AHQ was spicy with a reverse sweep, so I have high expectations for Friday.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I mentioned, this could have easily been a grand final matchup, and there's still the opportunity that we get to see this again in our grand final. Again, it depends on how the bracket plays out. It requires AHQ to have to fight their way back up, and they might have to go up against Machi. They might have to go up against Talon once again. Who knows? But there should be still a bunch of amazing games still to come here at the end of spring.
For sure. I mean, we're already done with our first weekend of the playoffs, and so far it has set into high gear, high energy, and I honestly was expecting either a 3-1 between these teams, but maybe not.
Well, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. Thank you for joining us for our first weekend of playoffs. We'll be back next Friday for more action from the PCS.